platform aim to bridge a gap between one expertise and growing industry expectations. Okay? The prime objective is to provide IT skills and training to individuals, align them to skill sets and the most suited to the organization today, while also preparing them to the further industry trends. So this webinar will provide you the brief overview about the DevOps and the tools you must use and will be useful for the wide range of professionals. Leading organizations across the world having adopted DevOps methodologies and overflow of with the performance security and team dynamics. With our more companies jumping into DevOps right now and engaged in for these suitable masters. So I'll just give a brief introduction about Shrikant. So he has been working in DevOps in the last 12 years. So Shrikant, I'll just over to you and you can start with the introduction and take this presentation further.
Fantastic, Prashant. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, it's totally fine.
So hello guys, warm welcome to everyone. This is Shrikant here. So I just begin with the the introduction. So yeah, I have 12 years of experience, 3+ years of experience as a trainer, and I'm passionate about teaching. I'm passionate about learning new technologies, and well, yeah, basically I pursue a lot of passions. So yeah, today we are going to actually discuss on the DevOps world, and it's going to be a very interesting journey, guys. So I'll just begin with the session straight away. Okay, these are the topics for today which we are going to cover. First, we are going to understand the DevOps and its applications, and then we'll understand what is DevOps all about. What is continuous integration tools? What is continuous deployment tools? All right, and CI/CD pipeline. And what is the demand of a DevOps engineer? Who's a DevOps engineer? Roles of a DevOps engineer, and who should DevOps learn? We'll also discuss about that. It's an interesting thing, and your learning part to become a DevOps engineer as well. All right. So let's get started, guys. Okay, let's begin with the DevOps and its applications. Before we move into DevOps, okay, as a good practice, not only with respect to DevOps, but any new thing that you're going to learn, understand only one thing, guys. Why are you actually learning a particular technology or a particular practice or a particular tool, whatever it is, right? In the same manner, we are going to first understand what are the downfalls of a traditional waterfall model. Then we will slowly be able to understand what are the bottlenecks of the waterfall model and what necessitated us for us to go to DevOps, right? So let's begin with this. Let's understand, first of all, waterfall model. Why is it actually coined as waterfall? Because the water actually, it's going to fall from, due to gravity, right? It's going to fall from a certain height to down, right? Which means this is a top-down approach. All I mean to say is, we are going to actually start any project with requirement gathering. Slowly we are going to move to design phase. You are going to get into the implementation phase, test, deploy, and maintenance. Okay, that is the reason why you call it as a waterfall model. Okay, now you can see clearly here that everything is connected, no doubt. Your requirement gathering is connected with your design. Similarly, your design is connected with your implementation, so on. No doubt about it that each phase is connected to the other. Okay, so just to give you more understanding about this different phases that you are seeing on my screen, any project that you get, for example, let us say we are going to develop Magna Infotech website. I'm just giving you an example. So first we need to understand what are the things that we need to actually put into place to develop this website, right? We try to discuss with the person who wants to actually develop this website. So that is nothing but your requirement and gathering analysis. So we'll get to know that, okay, I need a login page where a customer can log in. I'm just giving you an example, right? So this is what you actually initially try to nail it down to the requirement and gathering analysis, right? Post to this, we try to actually design them. What is actually designing? A designing is nothing but how do you want to, further put it into a technical implementation. Something like, okay, you're saying it should be a login screen. So how should the login screen be? Whether the login screen allows you to actually type numericals, right? Or it allows you to type special characters, or it should validate the user here itself. Say invalid. So let's say there is a non-registered customer who's trying to actually log in into MICS portal, right? It should immediately throw out you a validation error that whoever is trying to log in into this website, you cannot log in because you're not a valid user. So all these things will come in the design phase. So from there we move to the implementation phase. So now see the sequence of development that is happening here. It's good actually, so far so good. So we have decided we need to go for a login page. We know how to design it. We wanted to ensure that only a valid user should actually get into this website. Next, implementation, I'll do it in a Java code. I'll put everything into a Java code. So this is my Java application. Next, I'm going to test all the functionality, whether everything is perfect, user acceptance criteria, whether the user able to type properly, are there any bugs. I will test it in the test phase. And then finally, if everything goes well, I'll deploy it, and then I'll start maintaining the application. All right. So this is all about the traditional, waterfall model that we have. So please understand that everything is connected. Now we shall try to see if there are any drawbacks of this approach. Okay. Before we actually move into the Agile and DevOps, let me actually try to actually, help you to understand what is that we are missing here. Notice the arrows here. Requirement gathering comes to the design, design goes to the implementation, implement goes to test, deploy, and maintenance. All right. Now, usually what happens here is, let's say I said I'm going to log in into the page by giving some credentials, and we need to go to the next page. While we are actually testing this application, that is at the fourth phase, what you're seeing at here on the screen, then you understand that, oh my God, there's a problem, we need to go back. Okay? Obviously, you can traverse back. There's nothing wrong in traversing back. But you need to understand the impact. Okay, what is the risk that we took so far? How we can actually, avoid such things is the question. Now let's try to understand from a client perspective. Imagine that I'm a client. I'm looking at my application, and you developers have started developing, and at the testing phase you got to know that there is something need to be added. You come back and ask to me. I will say that, come on guys, for requirement gathering you have taken 1 month, design you have taken 1 month, implementation you have taken 1 month, testing you have taken 1 more month, 4 months. After 4 months you are coming back and asking me that something is missing here. For example, you wanted to ensure that a new customer can be registered. This we did not discuss earlier, right? Now this is a classic example of what waterfall model is vulnerable for. It's vulnerable because there is no proper collaboration between all these teams. Requirement gathering is done, design, implement, testing, they are no clue about what is the requirement gathering. They do not understand what is happening. They just give it to you and say, come on, you design this. But why are you going to design this? What are the flip sides? What are the improvements? We never get a chance to talk to each other. This is a classic example of, drawback of the waterfall model. Okay. So in the next, in order to actually overcome this, that is why we have called a new software methodology that is called as Agile. Okay. I hope you guys have already come across Agile, but I will just help you. Unlike the waterfall model, in Agile, everyone works closely, collaboratively. What I mean to say is, whatever you see here, requirement gathering, design, implementation, testing, everything is done closely, which means all of these people are in a single team. They collaborate so nicely that in such a way that while doing the requirement gathering, this guy, design guy comes and says to requirement gathering, guys, it is good that you have designed, you are looking for a login page. Why don't we actually allow someone to actually register also? Have you guys thought about it? Now requirement and gathering says, they will come and say, sorry, we did not actually think about it. Let's do it. But in previous, waterfall model, what usually happens is, you have to go for a blaming game. You did not tell me before. Why you didn't tell me before? All these things will happen. So in Agile, we'll avoid that. What happens is, we have a daily retrospective. I mean, once we, we actually first take the product backlog. From the product backlog, we have list of items. That is like the login username where you need to enter, and so on. We have a lot of product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but the list of tasks that needs to be done, that needs to be achieved, right? So we need to do actually sprint planning. What is sprint planning? I will tell you. A sprint can actually last from 7 days to 4 weeks, 1 week to 4 weeks. Generally, classic approaches, we go for 2 weeks. In this 2 weeks, we are giving time to the developers, testers, and everyone in the team, whatever you see here, that you come up with a shorter release cycle. Within 2 weeks, let us see what you can deliver. They will design a login screen and come back to say, and they will come back. So we'll do a sprint review. What is sprint review? Once we finished 2 weeks of time, the product owner who wants to design this application will review it and see if there is anything can be improved. That is the retrospective. So he says, okay, we should have avoided this. You could not avoid improvement points. Okay, it's not about blaming each other. It's a practical scenario, but how you can actually learn from what we have experienced so far. Okay, without trying anything, it's a very wrong practice to blame someone. First, we should try. Right? Excuse me, guys. So, such sprints will definitely help the client to achieve an incremental waterfall model. That is why you call it as increment here. This is an incremental model. So you're going to actually avoid basically this thing where one phase is dependent on the other phase. We will not do that here. No blaming game here. Everyone does their work. Everyone does collaboratively. If there are any issues, yes, we log them in the sprint backlog. If we cannot achieve in 2 weeks, we move to the next sprint. One sprint is 2 weeks. Alright? So this is all about the Agile. Basically, it is something like this, guys. I am taking the session now. You guys can actually ask me if there are any doubts or anything. Right? So it's like you have continuous feedback. Okay, you have continuous feedback where you can see what best can be developed. Right? So this is the Agile. Now, because you have the Agile methodology here, you definitely need some help to do all this collaboration, whatever you see here, for designing, implementation, test, deployment. maintenance. All these phases need some way or some connectivity in such a way that you can actually go for a shorter release cycle. What do you mean by shorter release cycle? That is nothing but instead of taking months and months of time here, it takes time because the previous phase has to actually give to the next phase persons. They have to hand over. They do the handover. They will say these are the documents you need to develop. So once they hand over to this, they pack up and they leave back. Okay, they will leave, and it's very hard for you to actually catch up these folks again. Okay, in waterfall model. But whereas in agile, what happens is you have all these team members where they do it collaboratively. But in order to achieve that collaboration, let's say you need to test and deploy, right? Instead of doing in two separate phases, all these phases, if you put all them together, okay, it is something like this, guys. I would like to explain more clearly into Paint. Yeah, developers, testers, okay, testers, and you have the developers. Sorry, maybe you can say the person who's going to deploy it, release engineer. Okay, so when you have such people, you need to collaborate each other, right? All of them to collaborate. If they wanted to do the collaborations, you need to have right kind of tools. Okay, now if still you guys did not get my picture, I would like to give you a very good example. Let us take the railway reservation. 20 years back, we used to do the reservation by standing in the queue. Okay, we stand in the queue and we need to actually purchase our ticket by standing in the queue. You do not have how many tickets left. You do not know how many tickets have been filled. It's very difficult for you. Nowadays, you can avoid that by doing the reservation online or using your mobile app. Very simple. You can actually book the ticket, okay, and you'll be able to. You can avoid the queue, and make yourself very convenient. Okay, so this railway reservation portal, which I am actually talking about, is nothing but a tool. This tool is actually achieving your automation, correct? So this is the automation which I would like to talk about. DevOps is all about automation. Okay, it helps you to leverage and reduce the gap between all these teams where they can collaborate each other beautifully without any misunderstanding, without any gap. This is what I would like to talk about, the blame game. When you do not have agile, when you do not have DevOps, okay, what usually happens is you need, you can see few people from the developer side, few people from the operation sides. Okay, see what is happening here. They're saying no legacy system, tool turbulence, need automation. These development people are talking about this, and the operation teams are saying, oh, monitoring is very tedious. First you fix your bugs. Okay, error. There are a lot of errors in the production environment. Okay, these people are saying tool turbulence. Okay, and do not have legacy systems. So both people are fighting for each other. Blame game. In order to avoid this only, we have DevOps, where we combine the development team and the operations team. Now, if you guys did not get what is an operation team responsibility, you can go back to the slide. Okay, while you do the deployment here, okay, you from testing you give it to a deployment team. Deployment team is altogether a different team where they will deploy your application and also maintain your application. Okay, so before giving it, you need to ensure that everything is fine, or else deployment team will come back and say, no, this is not working, this is not working, and you can go back and say them that your server is, my code is working fine, I tested in my machine, it is not working fine in your machine. Okay, in order to avoid that only, we go for the DevOps. DevOps is a software methodology which involves continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring. What are these things all about? Now, this becomes very interesting. Let me write it down: continuous development, continuous testing, continuous integration, continuous testing, okay, continuous deployment, continuous monitoring. Okay, what I'm actually talking about this is, this is continuous development. Okay, I'm actually using an abbreviation here. So continuous development, okay, CDV. Continuous testing, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring. Okay, so in order, why we have actually named these things is because you are saying continuous development because you are developing it continuously without any interruption, unlike here where you need to go back and give the transition to other team. Okay, you'll say to the other team that, okay, my design is done, you do the implementation, I am giving to other team for testing. Okay, in order to avoid this only, we're actually using this term called continuous, because we don't want our time to be wasted in the middle, and we want to have a seamless development without having any wastage of time. Okay, so the moment you complete your coding, you need to give to the testing. The moment you complete your testing, you deploy it. Deploying it nothing but making it live. Deploying is nothing but making it live. So from deployment, you start monitoring it, and all these things you wanted to do it continuously, right? Deployment, testing, development, and monitoring. All these things together, you do it continuously without any interruption. Okay, and that requires DevOps tools. Okay, I hope everyone is clear. Prashant, I would like to have a quick confirmation from the participants, if you can check out. So guys, is everything, you're able to see it properly? I see some messages now. Thank you, Prashant. I'm continuing it. So Prashant, I believe there is no problem now, right? But I receive a message from the guest saying that we are not able to. I did not get that. So anyways, I am actually sure guest. Probably you should be one of the participants. So guest, are you able to understand whatever I said so far? Okay. What I will do is I try to make use of those paint slides, and I'll also see if I can do something to present it properly. Wait, just give me a moment. Prashant, can you actually pass on the presenter access once again? Let me see if this can. Yeah. Just pass on the presenter access again. Yeah. So okay. Let me see if you can see the slides, guest. Can you see the slide now, guest? Awesome. Is that resolved now? Awesome. Thank you so much. Cool. Yeah. So I'm just actually, I don't want to repeat completely. So I just gave my introduction before, guys. And this is the thing which I'm talking about. This is the DevOps journey, the path. Okay. Now, this is the thing which I was talking about. Requirement gathering analysis, design, implementation, testing, deploy, and maintenance. Previously, we were talking that everything we are doing separately. These are connected, but they do not have proper collaboration. Until requirement is done, you cannot do the design. Until design is done, you cannot do implementation. Until implementation is done, you cannot do the testing, and similarly for deployment and maintenance also. Okay. So in order to avoid that, we have come up with Agile and Devops. Okay. So Agile methodology is where which will try to improve the collaboration instead of doing everything in silos, instead of doing everything in separated at a separate phase. We do everything all together. Okay. We fail as a team, we success as a team, we succeed as a team. Okay. Anything that we are not able to do it, we try to improve it in the subsequent sprints. It's all about sprint planning. We do the sprint for every 2 weeks. Okay. So we also spoke about the blame game, that development team and operations team will always have a blame game if they are working separately. Classic example, guys. Previously, you used to actually deploy your application using the IT support guys. I hope you know that, all of you. So what you need to do, you raise a ticket, you ask the IT support guy to install Tomcat on your machine. He will come and install the Tomcat on your machine. Again, you'll go back and say it's not working. He will say, no, it was working fine. You only did something. So this is a blame game, right? In order to do that, we wanted to have a DevOps engineer who can do both development and operations together. So in order to do the development and operations seamlessly, okay, we need to achieve few concepts or few mindset. It's all about mindset. DevOps is not a technology. DevOps is a mindset. DevOps is a culture. We need to follow that culture. What the culture is that wherever the culture succeeds, your work will also succeed, because wherever you have the culture, you have the happiness. If someone is treating you nicely, obviously you will get motivated, correct? If you do blame games, immediately you will start feeling, why should I do for this guy, correct? So this is what all about it. So let me have a quick check, go back and see if guest is happy. Is guest our happy guest now? All good? Just to cover everything what we missed. I received the confirmation saying perfect, thanks Shrikant. And even I am also very happy. And yeah, thanks for actually pinging to us. I'm sorry that I could not see the messages. I thought everything is fine and I went on, but yeah, good that you pinged in between. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll go back now. So this is what our journey is so far. We spoke about continuous deployment, testing, development, integration, and monitoring. We'll see like what are the different tools that we have. So yeah, so what usually happens is you have developers, you need to take the build, quality assurance, integration, user acceptance test, and product server. Okay, so whenever you fix a bug, okay, whenever you fix a bug, you deploy it into the production. Okay, now you need to actually see if that is working fine or not as a feedback, and then you need to go back to the same phase. You go back to the developer does the build, you will get the quality assurance, integration, user acceptance test, and again deploy into the production. This is a chain of cycle, right? So now in order to actually achieve these things, we have different tools which we will see. Okay, there is something called continuous integration, which is nothing but Jenkins. We will see also how it helps us. Okay, so the main benefits of DevOps is that it gives us cross-team collaborators. What I mean to say cross-team is nothing but, I was talking about these things, right? Development is a team, testing is a team, deployment is a team, and monitoring is a team. Okay, all the four people are collaborated so beautifully. I mean, they have a different ways of tools which they can collaborate each other. That's all about cross-team collaboration. What is agility? Guest, can you type what is agility in your definition? I'm just looking at your screen. Let me see if I can get a response from guest. What is agility? Is it related to intelligence? It's a framework. Okay. More than the framework, guest, agility is all about being very quick. Okay. Why quickness is required here? Because whether it is a, yeah, correct. Can I give you a very nice explanation for this? The lesson which I learned also, right? I did not check the messages initially, correct? I had to repeat everything from the beginning again. This is a classic example of waterfall. Had it been, if I had been agile, okay, I could have actually checked the messages and I could have instantly resolved the issue. I'm just giving you an example. I hope you understood my point. Guess. All clear? Correct. That is nothing but agile. You give it to the testing team will immediately give you the response. But in order to give them the immediate response, we need to have a proper tool. Here we have free conference call, which is our tool, which is connecting you and me. Free conference tool is connecting you and me. This is a tool. Similarly, you have many tools in DevOps. Okay. I hope you guys are enjoying my session. Feel free to actually type in the chat if you have any questions. But yeah. Okay. Agility is that code is deployed 30 times more frequently. Okay. You can do the frequent deployment. Why? Because you have the leverage of tools, you can immediately deploy it. Whenever you want, you can deploy it. Initially, what happens if you are in waterfall model, you have to do it every 15 days. You are forced to stay back. You cannot test whether it is working fine or not. You cannot do it because there are changes due to environment also. Your code might not work. Your code might work on Chrome browser. Your code might not work on Internet Explorer. It might not work on client system, correct? So this is always a best practice. Whatever you develop so far, just show it immediately so that you'll have a quick feedback. Okay, good. Now continuous delivery is all about develop it, build it, test it, deploy it, and release it. It is continuous delivery. You have reliability, 50% fewer failures, because you're doing regular cycles. Every 15 days you're testing your code. The chances of your application getting into bugs is very, very, very less. This is the DevOps Toolkit which I would like to talk about. Now in the middle you see integration. Integration, this is where your code is being integrated using Jenkins, Bamboo or Hudson. These are the set of tools which will help you to actually take a build and immediately check. Let me see if I have Jenkins installed on my system so that I can show you a small demo. Let me not take more time. Okay, let me show you an image first of all. So whatever you see here, okay, this is your Jenkins homepage. Whatever you see here, it's like a homepage where you can see the list of projects which are taking the build right now. Okay, so this is a collaborator page for you. Collaborator page where you can see how the projects are building. Okay, so that is nothing but your Jenkins. Okay, let me try to, I think it is running now. It's loading now. So guest, can you see here? This is my Jenkins build. For example, I would like to actually build everything together. When I try to build, okay, here in Jenkins, you can see the list of phases here: cloning, building, testing, building image, and deploying the image. Okay, this is a classic example where your complete life cycle of an application, you can see it here inside the Jenkins. Okay, this is what Jenkins is all about. And you have some toolkits like GitHub, Jira, Gradle, JUnit is for testing. Similarly, on the right side you have Docker. Docker is nothing but containerization. Using the containers, you can deploy your code. Using the Docker images, you can deploy. You can push the images to the Docker hub. You can download the images. Anyone can actually, let's say you joined as a new team, new in the team, and you need to actually get the project along with the environment. You can do that using the Docker. So each tool for each phase, for planning you have separate tool, for coding you have separate tool, for build you have separate tools, for testing you have separate tools. You can see here. For planning you have Jira, GitHub. For coding, coding, I think actually you can do it in your own editor. When it comes to the building, you have Maven, Ant, and Gradle. For testing, you have Selenium and JUnit. For deployment, operational, for operating it and monitoring it, you have different tools. For deployment and operating, you have Docker, Vagrant, Puppet, Chef, Ansible, and SaltStack. Okay. For monitoring, you have Stack, Splunk, and Nagios. This is the continuous integration tool which I just showed you. That is nothing but Jenkins. Once you commit the code, you initiate the process, you test it, build it, and report it. So if you go back here and see, it will give you a report whether it is successful or not. This is the list of reports. Okay, it says some failure, but you can see the report here at least. So this is what this thing is all about. Continuous integration tool, you have GitLab, CodeShip, Bamboo, Jenkins, TeamCity, and Travis. So let's see the differences. Jenkins is widely used. Jenkins is an open source, multi-plugin, community support, and all repository. Bamboo is not open source, expensive plugins, small user community, and supports all repository. Travis, open source, few plugins, no community. It supports only Git. But Jenkins and Bamboo supports all other repositories. What are the continuous deployment tools? Continuous integration is a software development process, and every time developer pushes the code to the application, what you need to do is, when you have the team will put it into GitHub, like some repository tools that will go to the continuous integration server. There your UAT people, QA people can test. QA people will test directly here. I'll show you. QA people can test here directly whether it is working fine or not. Okay, if working fine, everything says success, you'll get a report also. See, after taking all the build, testing, and everything, you can see build success. Okay, this is what the advantage is. So your QA person will say okay, and then you can deploy into the production server. So using tools like Docker, Puppet, Ansible, Chef, SaltStack, you can deploy the code very easily. There you go, Puppet, Docker, Ansible, SaltStack, and Chef. These are the tools which will help you to deploy them easily on the fly. This will do it on the fly. So CI/CD pipeline, I just show you the pipeline before. First, from the version control, you take the build, take the testing, deploy it, auto test it, deploy to production, and measure. There you go. So you first take the code, you commit it. Once you commit it, it start taking the test, and once it start taking the test, see, I showed you the pipeline here. This is called pipeline. Whatever you're seeing here, it's a pipeline. It's a pipeline which contains installation of the dependencies, getting your repository, getting your code, building the code, testing your code, building the image of a Docker, and deploying into the Docker image. Okay. Okay. Now next comes what is Docker all about. Okay. Though we don't have, we are not going in depth of Docker. I'll give you a very basic few things about Docker. There is something called Docker Playground. because it is not installed, and you guys can also you can try this, guys. Okay, I'm just pinging this in the chat. Sure. Can you show us configure screen guest, and could you please give some knowledge about Chef? Guest, definitely last 5 minutes we'll dedicate for Q&A. Okay, probably I think Prashant will help to unmute, or maybe you can type it on the chat screen itself. So first let me actually explain about your Docker first. So this is the Docker. You can log in into this Docker environment. Yeah. So you can type docker ps to see the list of things. Somehow my yes is not working on my keyboard, so I'm trying to, yeah. So it gives you the container ID, image, command created, status, and ports. Okay, what your Docker contains is basically Docker uses containerization. What is containerization? I'm going to explain you now. Whatever you see on my screen is an operating system. Okay, you have your operating system. Inside your operating system, you have your software application. So in the software application, let's say you are using Windows. Some operating system is here. On top of that, you are using your software. Okay. Now, what happens is, for the sake of installing the software, we are almost spending around 10 GB of space. My Windows 10, I'm using Windows 10, it will be 10 GB. Okay. This is totally a wastage of space. What we can do is, we can use something called as container. What container advantage is that? Container is maximum of size 150 MB. On top of the container, you can install anything. Okay, so I'll just show you. You can search the list of container. For example, you wanted to search Jenkins. Okay, can you see the response here? You see the Jenkins response. You can install the Jenkins also by saying docker run There you go. Can you see the Jenkins is starting now? Pop-up is blocked. Let me allow the pop-up. Yeah, so if you open the port, I think 8080 should work. Okay, it's all about the Jenkins. See, whatever you have Jenkins that I installed on my system, the same thing you can install inside the Docker with minimum space. It will not take much space, and it will also take less space. Processing speed will be faster. Can you see now? Guest, your Jenkins is starting here. Your Jenkins has started. See. Guest, I am looking for your response. Do you see Jenkins being started here using Docker? Yes. So that is the power of Docker. You can initialize everything as a container. Okay. So here I just need to give the password. If I give the password, I'll be able to enter. Actually, this course is designed for only pure presentation theory. But myself, sometimes I don't prefer going for completely theory. Hands-on is a must. Okay. In order for the participants to understand what we are working on, at least I should show some demo to give them an idea. That is the reason why I'm spending some time on showing this demo. Okay. So you can suggest the install plugins, or you can select the plugins. Anything should be fine. So this will help you to get started with the Jenkins. I think we have 5 minutes left. So Prashant, can you hear me?
Yes, Shrikant.
Yes, Prashant. So I'm done with the session. So we can go ahead with Q&A if we have any.
Yeah, so the participant can drop in a chat, and they can ask you questions so that you can rectify their doubts and all.
Sure. Guest, you asked about Chef, right? Shall I explain you about little bit about Chef? Okay, good. So what usually happens here is, for every software application, okay, for any application, we need to do the configuration. Okay. Now Chef is a configuration management tool. I hope you heard about this, guest. What is a configuration management tool? Configuration management tool will help you to do the auto configuration. When I say about the auto configuration, what happens is, for example, you have one node. Okay, you wanted to replicate the same thing. For example, you wanted to do it in load balancer. Load balancer is another concept. For example, if I open google.com, 24/7 my google.com website will be open only. Okay, why it is open? Even if one server is down, the other server will act as a secondary server. I will have many servers. In that scenario, when I wanted to maintain multiple servers, okay, I can go for configuration management tool, something like Chef. Chef will help you to actually replicate the same thing, whatever you have it on your this node, and it will replicate here on this node. For example, you install Jenkins here, okay? You install Jenkins on this machine. What Chef does is, if you run the Chef tool, you need to give only Chef command. The moment you give the Chef command, it will auto configure everything from one server to other server. So in Chef you use master and slaves. You have master and slaves. Okay. For some reason, the yes on my keyboard is not working again. So you have master and slaves on your machine. If one server goes down, another server takes request. Yes, guest, absolutely. So in order for your other server to get auto configured, we will use configuration management tool, something like Chef, which will help you to auto configure them. And Chef is a very interesting tool, definitely. Any more questions, guys? I think Prashant can answer this. Prashant, guest is saying they want the PPT, and I think it should be recorded. Prashant, can you please answer the questions?
Yeah, please. After the session, for sure, we'll share you all the PPTs and this webinar links also. So no need to worry about that. We'll send you to the mail IDs.
Awesome, guest. You will get it. Sure, guest. Please go ahead. So that is your last question. Sharing the recorded session. Yes, it will be recorded. It will be shared. I think Prashant will share with you. Jenkins is an integration tool. Yes, Jenkins is an integration tool, and using the Jenkins, you can connect to any repositories like GitHub, any other tools. Okay, and also for any future requirements, if you wanted to take any sessions, feel free to get in touch with Prashant, and MICS will definitely provide you the best trainer for yourself to get trained, and you can also refer your colleagues, your friends. So feel free to actually refer MICS and the training program to your friends and colleagues as well. Thank you so much. Over to you, Prashant.
All right, and thank you so much for your time, and I think it's a very valuable session for 1 hour. Hope all the participants, all their doubts and queries cleared. So again, thank you, Shrikant, all the participants to being here 1 hour. And for sure, we'll share you all the links and the demonstrations as well as PPTs to you for the further references. And even though you can share these PPTs and this recorded session to your colleagues and your friends as well as your in your social media, so that they can aware of all the things now. And on behalf of Magna, you'll be also getting a survey session from our side, so that you can put your insights, so that in the future, what will be happening, so that we can refer ourselves. Okay. And also for the more queries and doubts, anything, I'll be the contact person, or even though you can visit our website, right? It's mics.magna.in for the further queries and doubt for the DevOps and all, so that we can clarify all your queries and doubts. If you revert back to us, you can visit the website. We'll for sure help you with that. Okay. So Shrikant, thank you so much again, and all the participants, and for sure we'll see you and have a happy weekend. We are just signing out. Bye.
Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, bye, Shrikant.